welcome back. Oh, with mortgage rates being so low, as I said earlier, that just means that there are a lot of people trying to get loans. And, if you haven't looked to refinance, well, certainly this would be the time to do it. But what a lot of people don't understand when they're buying a house is that, well, just because they're buying a house and people are refinancing houses, which makes for a whole lot of paperwork going through the system. And, ultimately it is a system that can get overwhelmed. So, Ryan Leopold's back from my partner, Cobalt Mortgage. Welcome back, Ryan.
Great. Thanks for having me, Ben.
Yeah, so I thought we could discuss, the top 5 things a lender can really do right now to assure these transactions go smooth, because ultimately they're not easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think Nicole and Tyler both brought it up that the whole lending side of things is tougher these days, and you get some quirky underwriting decisions come in these days. So I think there's a lot of things and we talked about it multiple times on the show, but there's things that buyers can do when they work with their lender to really increase that probability of a smooth and uneventful transaction. We know for buyers that rates are important. There's no doubt about that. But I think you really need to have a combination because, Tyler's talking it multiple times. There's multiple offers out there all the time. So if you're lucky enough to actually get under contract,
I want to get a loan.
Yeah, let's hope it actually closes in the period of time, because I don't know, what's that next step that actually sellers try to keep earnest money?
Yeah, well, Tyler mentioned that an underwriter wanted a letter of explanation for the commute. You ever heard of that? I hadn't either.
Every day is something different, I'm telling you.
It's amazing. Like, oh, you're willing to drive. Yes, I am.
It really is, though. I think that the more buyers can understand, and partners alike, can understand what all lenders are asking for and how tight underwriting guidelines are getting and the conditions that are needed on any transaction. I think this is going to help everybody get through the process a lot better if we just embrace it and say, okay, I get it. I'm exactly what I need, and let's get it up front and actually be able to get through the process to buy a house. Yeah,
well, and you talk about getting everything up front. In fact, Tyler even mentioned that most of the questions he's answering in his first-time homebuyer consultations are lending questions.
Yeah, lending obviously is a huge part of it. So I think it's both sides, understanding that lending is a huge part of the process. And two, the things they ask for are tough and challenging. But, a lot of cases for lending $400,000 to $500,000, you can imagine, with 5% down, you can imagine they want some more security to make sure everything is perfect.
I wonder if we delivered briefcases of cash. If, here's $500,000 in a couple briefcases, small unmarked bills.
Just have it in the office all the time.
No, I'm just wondering, if you actually put it in perspective, I wonder how much people would be upset about needing another pay stub. Like, yes, but I'm giving you a briefcase with $500,000 in it. Yeah. I don't know. Let's get a briefcase. Figure it out.
On it.
So let's talk. What are some of the biggest things lenders can do to really usher just a really smooth transaction that goes as hoped?
Okay, so we have 5. I think number 1 is always going to be educated and get informed about your options. And I think the only way to really do that is sit with a lender who actually knows the business, who's been in the business for a long time, and can understand all the options available to you and actually be able to explain it to you so you understand it. I see too many lenders today still see buyers out there choosing lenders based on sending them rate quotes without really understanding the strategy behind a program. So I think it's number 1 is just get informed and be educated and work with a lender who knows the options that are available to you, the buyer.
Well, and I think you illustrate a great point here, because just because you're getting a 30-year fix doesn't mean that's the only way to go. There's different mortgage insurance options if you're putting 10% down. You can buy out the mortgage insurance. You can have the seller buy out the mortgage insurance. There's all these different things that you can do that most lenders aren't really educated on. So those opportunities are never brought to the forefront.
Yeah, it's interesting. As the mortgage insurance one is a huge one. The other day we raised somebody's interest rate an eighth, took off the 1 point in cost, and used some rebate money, some money you get on the backside, to actually pay half their upfront mortgage insurance. So they had it where they only put 5% down, no mortgage insurance on the loan, and no monthly mortgage insurance, and still got below 4% interest rates. So I think, you got to be creative sometimes. And I think, yeah, you're right. It's a strategy to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And then once you figure that strategy out, actually get it closed.
Yeah. So, okay, becoming educated, knowing your lender is actually capable of giving you all the options, because quoting rates is one thing, but talking about strategy in a situation like this is much different. Especially, what Tyler say for number one thing. Well, how much do I need for a down payment? That's not really their question. Their question is, how much do I need for down payment, taxes, closing costs, points, insurance? The question that is not just black and white. What's a down payment? Very different terminology.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, what most buyers want to get to is really understanding three main things. Once you get through information education and you get to point number 2, which is get a lender everything they ask for and get it to them up front. And if a lender isn't asking for a lot of stuff, I'd be more concerned about that, because it's going to come somewhere down the road. So once you kind of get that education and get a lender all the documentation they may need, even if it seems crazy, is really buyers want to get to... Even if you have to
explain your commute.
Even if you have to explain the commute, absolutely. Then you want to get to the point of really what buyers want is they want to know, how much house can I buy, what are my payments going to be, and how much is out of pocket. But there's a strategy to get to that point.
So, you talk about getting all this complete and accurate information. Now, it seems like it's a lot of work. But really what you're doing is you're guaranteeing that money will be there. That briefcase with the $500,000, that actually comes in a wire. Nobody's ever actually seen any of the money. But, it actually comes it's going to be there because you've done the work up front, making a buyer more confident in the fact that this is going to happen. Otherwise, what? You hope and pray?
I can't imagine, especially with what buyers have been through and what they're going to continue to see over the next several months, is falling in love with a house, writing a really strong offer, putting a cover letter on there, taking a picture of their family in front of the house, presenting it to the seller, and get outbid on a property, and then how frustrating that could be. And then once they actually find a property, they get a seller to say yes, and they choose an online lender from Florida who quoted them an 1/8 lower in rate, and then they're mad they're not getting return phone calls, return emails, but I'm saving $4 a month. Come on. Seriously? It's below 4%. Come on. Sorry, I had to vent a little bit.
You did good. So what's number 3, Ryan? Let's just keep you on this tear, buddy.
Okay. 3. Stay engaged with your lender. So if we want the deal to now actually close, is you want to get all your options, you want to get all your stuff, and now you want it to actually close. So you may end up making multiple offers to get try for different homes. Stay engaged with your lender. Okay, stay engaged with the lender, because when you make those offers, you kind of want to know where rates are on any given day. Every home has different taxes. Everything's a little bit different. You want to make sure that that person can give you an updated pre-approval letter, updated numbers. You feel comfortable with the numbers, make that offer. But you have to have engagement to have that. If you're just getting rate quotes from random lenders across the country, you can't be disappointed if they're not getting back to you in a timely fashion for that pre-approval letter you need to make an offer on the house that you want to make an offer on. Yeah. So stay engaged.
So, and then also, with changing interest rates, that's a huge part. Rates are the lowest they've ever been. When they go up, which undoubtedly they will at some point in time, guess what? Your pre-approval letter that said $400,000 is now for $300,000 because rates went up and you can't afford it. So there's this element of, really understanding what changes in interest rates mean to you as a buyer.
That's a huge point. Absolutely.
All right. Keep going, Ryan. Number 4, baby.
Number 4. So once you're actually in contract and you get that property, get a seller to agree to sell it to you, get with your lender and get all the updated information they need fast. Get pay stubs to them, get bank statements to them, get everything they need to actually process the file. Because a lot of times you're going to have 30-day closes, and we're in one of the busiest times in 14 years of being in the business. We're in one of the busiest times I think I've ever seen. Like we said on the way here, I'm wearing wool socks with a suit and haven't eaten lunch today. We're busy.
I don't even know what the wool socks means. Yeah. But why does that mean you're busy?
Because I wore jeans to work, and then I changed once I got to work because I wanted to get to the office early, and I didn't bring the right dress socks. So I got jean socks on.
All right. Well, I thought...
We're getting deep today.
Well, Ryan, I just never heard of anybody say, I'm so busy I'm wearing wool socks. It's a first.
Write it down.
Write that down. All right, let's go. What is the last big step before we go to break on, really making sure that people can, have a smooth transaction when they're really buying a house, with or without wool socks?
Yeah, so the last step is going to be, once you actually get to the whole process, you get the approval, docs are at escrow. One of the most important documents you're going to sign at escrow is going to be the final HUD statement. That's going to recalculate every number that should be pretty darn close, if not exactly the way the good faith estimate was, to the terms and conditions that were promised to you. But the problem is a lot of lenders do not actually go through that document with a buyer. And so they wait for escrow to go through with them, with the HUD with them, and they're not familiar with the transaction from day one. So make sure you go through that HUD, compare it to the original good faith estimate at closing to make sure that the last stage of the closing process is exact in what was promised to you.
Well, that is a huge part because it's a lot of paperwork. It's tough to even know what is important and what isn't because it's stacks and stacks of paper.
You can just be lost in the shuffle if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. But a good lender, Ben, will tell them go through those numbers with them, get them comfortable with the signing process, and help them do it.
Up front, so it isn't like you said the very first time. Ryan, we have to go to break. That's Ryan Leopold. When we come back, the real estate market has changed. And there was just an article written about how buyers are a little bit more open to buying foreclosures. We're going to come back on the air with everybody, and we're going to talk about all the other big changes that have happened in the real estate market. My name is Ben Brashen. You're listening to Brashenomics.